Okay, I don't know if you've come across these productivity gurus as well. The ones who say that you need to read 50 self-help books a year, or you need to read a self-help book a week, or otherwise you're not gonna be successful. Other BS like that. But occasionally I'll see one of these guys pop up on my YouTube feed and I'll lose my mind, because in my opinion, this is not only not beneficial, this is actually toxic. And it's very hard to notice it, because inherently we assume that reading is good. Like, how is reading gonna do any harm here? It's not like I'm going out and partying every night of the week. It's not like I'm going gambling or anything like that. I'm just reading. How can that be harmful? But here's the subtle thing. The reason why reading one self-help book a year is actually toxic is because it reinforces this habit of chasing the feeling of productivity instead of producing actual change in your life. Okay, it just reinforces this habit of gathering knowledge and then not doing anything with it. And that can very quickly become toxic. Let me give you an example. Let me give you a mental picture of what this looks like, what this approach looks like in dating, because you'll probably find it quite ridiculous. So imagine you want to get a girlfriend. You want a deep connection with a girl, okay? You want to get a girlfriend. And but the way you go about it is you're dating a bunch of girls, and essentially you're dating a girl a week. So you're going on 1 or 2 or 3 dates with a girl, you're having fun, whatever, everything's great. But once the new week comes in, you forget all about the old one. You stop talking to her, you stop interacting with her altogether. And you keep doing this week after week after week. Like, how do you expect to get a girlfriend this way? You know, if you're not taking the time to, if you're not putting in the effort, the time, the energy into one single connection in order to reach the deeper parts of that connection, you know, the deeper insights, or just to get to know the other person on a deeper level, and for the other person to get to know you on a deeper level, how can you expect anything to work out? You know, and it's the same with books. Because if you're just focused on volume, if you just want to get as much knowledge as possible without getting deeper into any of them, you're not going to get anywhere. This approach, this productivity, as we think about it in reading a lot of books, is just an excuse for avoiding the most meaningful work you could do, or for avoiding the highest ROI thing of figuring out what can you apply in your life and what is the most important thing you should prioritize right now. Productivity just becomes an excuse at that point. And so what I realized over the years, because when I started my self-development journey, I was too very invested in this acquiring knowledge part. I was consuming videos, I was reading books, taking notes, organizing my notes, doing mind maps and all of that. And I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I assumed it's because I wasn't doing enough. That's at least what the hustle culture was telling me. But in reality, the real reason I wasn't succeeding in the way I wanted was because I wasn't applying enough of what I was learning. And if you're reading 50 books a year, if you're reading a book a week, when are you realistically going to have time to apply anything? Because your brain is just going to be overloaded with new insights and with new knowledge. And everything will seem important, like all of those will seem important. And if everything is important, then really nothing is important, because it becomes impossible to prioritize, and hence it becomes impossible to apply. And so to me, real productivity when it comes to reading books is when you take the time to experience reading that book. So while you're reading, you're not only looking for the insights, but you're also making connections to different events in your life. Maybe you have a realization here and there. Maybe you're thinking about how to apply, how to put that insight into your own life to get some certain benefits. Because it also depends on which knowledge is important to you right now, in this very moment, which is a priority right now, and which is probably going to help later on. You can't apply everything, or let me say it this way. Not all advice is great for you right now. Some advice needs proper timing, okay? And so looking for that timing, looking for what's important in the current moment is also kind of a skill in and of itself, right? So if you take the time to experience each book, if you're a slow reader like I am, and I'm a proud slow reader, okay? then really you start to realize that is the experience of reading the book which generates 80% of the results or of the change. It's not the actual insights or the plain lessons. Because that's just like, think about it this way. Think about watching a movie, experiencing an entire movie in a cinema, let's say, or even at home, versus someone telling you what happens in that movie, telling you the entire plot. That's kind of the difference here. Okay? Which is more impactful? Which are you likely to remember more? Which is more likely to stick more in your mind and influence you more over time? Of course, it's experiencing the movie, and the same thing applies to books. So if you're a slow reader, if you're taking your time reading books, don't let the hustle culture think that you're doing something wrong or that you're lazy or anything. No, you're focused on the outcome, not on the feeling of productivity. You want the results. You don't just want the ego to be stroked. Okay? So that's what I wanted to talk to you today. And hopefully this helps you as much as it helps me. But other than that, we're gonna see each other in the next one. Until next time.